Hello, CSP Hot Hands fans. Brett here. I'm launching my book, How to Lead What You Should Have Learned in Business School, and I could really use your help. I'm putting together a group of people that will get early access to the ebook for free. All I ask is that if you love it, give it a 5-star review after you read it. You'd also get early access to the paperback launch price that'll be under $10. What I've done is taken my 17 years in the business and broken that experience down into bite-sized snippets for you. Almost every story and lesson I share is from my time at Cutco. Whether you're a Hall of Fame CSP, new events team member, or you're a manager, I think you'll love it. If you want in, go to linktree/CSP60 and tap the Join Brett's Book Launch button. That's linktr.ee/CSP60. Either way, thanks for being here. Let's start the show. It's not abnormal for a customer to say, I'll think about it. How do you navigate that?
Right. So number one is digging more into pain points. I'm not afraid to ask the customers, how are your knives at home? What, and if they're okay. And I just might ask, well, do you want a new set of knives? Could you just sharpen yours up? I mean, and then secondly, here's the biggest thing that's made the hugest difference is, we write down on the yellow pad, okay, so you wanted this set, this color, you do the payments, okay, and just, if you don't mind me asking, scale of 1 to, what are your chances coming back, to buy your set? Oh, a 7 or an 8. But there's an extra step in there that keeps us from being pitchy and argumentative. I just say, okay, well, whenever you do come back, you may have a question or two, and there's some things to think about. So if you don't mind me asking, before I let you go, what's going through your head about this set? Because that's when they open up to what the real objection is. The sales pitch is over. They can go and think about it. Pressure is off.
It's not the deal. It's how they feel about the deal. Does it even make sense for me to offer this? But then also, what's the real issue? Thanks for joining us on the CSP Hot Hands 60 Minutes of Fire podcast. My name's Brett Wiggins, and I get to serve as your host. So what is a CSP? CSP is a Cutco sales professional. There are a lot of them out there, and they've all got a different answer to the question, why do you sell so much? Our mission is to find out the answer to that question from as many of them as possible. These next 60 minutes are designed for Cutco sales reps who desire to learn from our best in the field. So we interview top sales professionals from around the country with questions provided by their peers to make all that happen. 60 minutes of fire means we get straight to the point. Let's do it. Welcome to CSP Hot Hands, 60 Minutes of Fire. It is episode number 22, and I am so excited for our guest today. Check this out. This is pretty cool. Out of the hundreds of thousands of sales reps to ever work for Vector and Cutco, he is number 66 all time in personal sales. Patton Sides, everybody, from our Williamson County office, Lone Star Division and events team. Anytime Patto references,
Patto, I like that. Yeah.
There we go. Get rid of that end. It's weird. Get it out of there.
Patto's cool.
Anytime he references a resource that's available to us, he's going to share it with me afterwards, so we can spend the bulk of our time on these hard-hitting questions that the CSP community has put together for him. I want to directly thank those of you who submitted questions for this episode. It would not be very fire without your help. Patto, I know you're a big amusement park guy, so you'll appreciate this. I think CSP Hot Hands should be like the dragster at Cedar Point. Without these people's help, it'd be more like the spinny teacup thing at your local county fair. Not bad, just not fire. No bueno. So specifically those that had questions selected for today, Philip Sheets, thank you. Josh Muller, Benji Lehman. Don't forget, by the way, if you ever want to join us live, so you don't have to wait on the episode to launch, just email bwiggins@vectormarketing.com. We're recording this on a Thursday. Thursday's a big event setup day. So we might have people hop in and out after or before setup, but we'll get you a calendar invite as long as you email bwiggins@vectormarketing.com. Patto, are you ready to jam?
To jam? Yes. Yes, I am.
I love it.
I'm ready to jam. See, and I got my shirt on too. See,
I'll get nifty. Get nifty. How long have you been selling Cutco, Patto?
Well, I started in 2001, 24 years. 7-8 year hiatus when I was teaching high school, coaching football and pole vaulting. But a total of 25 years, really been at it since 2009 now. So about 16 years.
So
I sold Cutco as an undergrad. I sold in graduate school, and then
you've
now
got
full-time.
two different Cutco lives.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you were gone 05 to 09. So
Yeah, about
so,
03 to 09. Yeah.
03 to 09. So the event community, if we could even call it that back then, that you left or weren't even a part of yet, I don't know, to what you came back to, you really rejoined when things started getting like, hey, events is a thing,
Yeah.
right?
I actually worked a couple of home and garden shows in 2001 and 2, back when we weren't really trying to sell the booth.
That
We
was
were
my
giving out
events
feelers.
experience. You show up with
Yeah.
a blue book and you
Yeah.
like have a potato.
Yeah. And a homemaker set sitting there.
Yeah.
No, that's true. And it was all
Oh
about
man,
getting
it's
the leads
crazy.
for free looks or service calls. Yep.
So good. Well, it's cool to see you've been part of that group that really pushed us forward to
Mhm.
where we're at now. What's your yearly sales breakdown typically look like? Like what percent is booth, service,
Yeah.
gifting, all that?
So there's been off the last couple of years. Usually it's about last year did about 100 grand ish at events, 100 grand realtor, another 50 or so in there for service events and some service calls. And so that put last year another, what, I'm trying to do the math, but another 75 to 100 just on reorders, sales, past customer business. So I'm pretty balanced across of events, actual shows, realtor and some business
I
gifts,
would
past
say
customer marketing. Yeah.
as someone smarter than me that coaches CSPs would say that's a healthy breakdown. The word
Yeah.
healthy comes to mind. What are, you got? You're leveraging multiple sides of the business. So what I love about that is, for those of you that are listening as an aspiring CSP candidate, if events has a down year due to something outside of Pato's control, it doesn't matter. He can just position himself differently somewhere else. They all help each other.
Yeah. Wouldn't say it
What
doesn't matter, but it definitely,
he's like, I've seen some
helps.
stuff. Let's not go that far, but
Yeah. But no, I mean, no, you're right. I mean, I'd, not being over the real estate business has been very, very down. Last 2 years, I did not do well in realtor. And part of that's my fault. I mean, I'm not blame, just the market's bad. I could have done things a lot better, but I still had a lot in service events and other events. Yeah. It's definitely not just one nacho
you've
on
got
the
different
plate.
buttons to press, right?
Yeah.
What
Yes.
other titles outside of Cutco do you have? I know you were a teacher and a coach at one point. What else?
Well, I'm still a coach for YMCA, like second and third grade
Let's
soccer and
go,
flag
dude.
football and stuff.
Let's
So that's fun.
go.
Yep.
A cat
So
herder. You are a cat herder professionally.
no, it's hard. We have heavy strategy. So that's the main thing that I do
Yeah,
outside, and then of course I'm a father of two beautiful, wonderful children, age 6 and 8, and I am a husband too. I have that title as well,
that's
which
awesome, man.
care through, is fun, enjoyable, sometimes thankless, but hey,
My two oldest are 6 and 7, gonna be 6 and 8 in like 30 days.
yeah, it's
It's the things that when I asked them, my 6-year-old used the word symmetrical. Symmetrical. Like what? And knew what it was. It's just, I'm blown away by children, and I'm realizing over and over again that we underestimate them so much.
Yeah, and let me just throw in, here's the best thing about kids that you see in kids. It's until they hit, and my son's almost there. He's getting 9, so things do change early.
Yeah.
But in that age, from babies, but really when they're really cognizant, 3 to first, second grade, what I like is you can experience true uninhibited joy. Because
Yeah.
when a kid experiences joyous, it's something. Hey, we're having pizza tonight, or we're at the playground, or we're riding roller coasters. Like when we say pure uninhibited, there's no worry. There's no,
Yeah.
in the back of your head. Oh, this is a fun time, but God, I got to work tomorrow.
There's something to be learned there.
Yeah,
You're so
there's true.
present.
That's the best part is that, and even when they're little bitty, they're running and jumping over cracks on the sidewalk, or whatever it is. In that moment, pure uninhibited joy, which as adults it's more difficult to
Something I've
experience.
recognized recently is that I could be better at being completely mindful and just present. And the reason I think that they're able to be so mindful and present is because they're not mindful of anything else but whatever's right in front of them. And yeah, they experience a lot more joy than I would say the average adult that I know does. What's the last fun thing that Pato did besides slinging blades?
The last fun thing. Let's see. Dude, I'll be honest with you, man. It was last weekend when I wasn't working that weekend. Took my daughter to a basketball game, then coached my son's soccer game,
Nice.
and then he had a friend over to the house, and they ran around, and he and the other dad and I played spies with them, and they were running
Nice.
around shooting us up, and we'd capture them, and that was a fun day there. That was
That's
a couple
awesome.
weekends ago where that was it too. I will
So
say
cool.
taking my kids to ride roller coasters though is at the tippy top of fun things to do
You
because
got
my
a
kids love roller
membership
coasters.
anywhere close or like a
We could get a Six Flags season pass now that Six Flags and Cedar Fair have merged. I was going to change it up. We need to get season passes. We just haven't been in position with scheduling work to where we can visit a park multiple
Yep.
times throughout the year, so it's
Yep.
worth to get that season pass. But dude, get a season pass at Six Flags, and it's amazing. It's worth every penny.
Love
So
it.
yeah, yeah.
Best year ever for CPO for you. When was it and how
Three.
much?
That was 2021, 368. I believe is what it was.
368. Love it, man. And
Mhm.
anything in the works right now? An order, a program, a business relationship, a show, something that hasn't happened yet, but it's on the cusp that you're excited about.
I'm mentoring with Joseph Rodriguez in the
Oh, dude,
business
we
gift
just got
program.
recommended federal or not federal, but he does big trade show situations,
Yeah,
right?
and
I
so
just got recommended to
that's
him for the podcast.
yeah, and so I'm starting to build that, and simply for a couple reasons. One, the real estate business has been down and slower, and I need to diversify out of that.
Mhm.
So now I'm not sure if I can dedicate to go to all travel that much, all those big events, but just doing local stuff is good. And
Yep.
let me just say, I'm going to say right now, since this is being recorded and hopefully people hear this, I think Joseph Rodriguez, I don't think he gets enough credit or praise for what he's done to develop the
Dude,
business
he's
gifting
taken some
program that he
big
has.
swings and risk
Yeah.
when no one else was willing to.
Yes.
And I think all
Yes.
people see is, oh, he gets to do. No, he doesn't get to. He earned the right.
Yes. Yes.
He put some money where his mouth is for sure.
Yes. There's a lot of big names out there that get all, and they're wonderful and fantastic. Let me tell you, I was there as an events coordinator when Joseph started seeking out all these shows around the country. This is 2013, 2014. And he and I and Stacy Campbell, we disagreed on some things. We butted heads. I mean, we had not big arguments, but he was pushing the limit on other territories, other
Oh,
regions,
dude,
getting
I was part of the
permission.
resistance because there was a show on my.
Uh,
I didn't get it. I didn't
yeah,
understand. He wasn't trying to
yeah,
do anything wrong. He was just. Well, I just
yeah.
heard a speaker, Jake Gilbert, Wabash College football coach. He said, "Hey, resistance happens when you're trying to go faster than the rest of your
Yeah.
crew is willing
Yeah.
to," and that's exactly what Joseph was doing. So thank goodness he had that thrust to get
Mm-hmm.
through that because man, it's a pretty
Yeah.
beautiful thing now.
Yeah. And we backed him as much as we could. We had to rein him in sometimes, and we probably made each other mad. But I think back then, both Stace and I were like, God, he's trying on something. Let's support it. Let's help it. But dude, don't make too many people mad. But the benefits are there too. So the fact that I see the shows he's coordinated, the effort he's done to get into shows. Who the hell would thought Cutco would ever be at the World of Concrete? I mean,
So cool, man.
it's unbelievable. So I think that, and then I'm just going to say this too. Just in a couple months mentoring him, he's the best mentor I've had as far as teaching
Wow.
material. Not a lot
Speaks
of extra
volumes,
fluff,
man.
just down to the basics. And so when you say earned, I would definitely say that's true. He's not doing it for the accolades. He's not doing it for the trophies. And even his mentoring program is really, I mean, he's so like, here's what I do, here's what works. He's doing a fantastic job. So I'm just excited to, even if I don't do any big events and go to these big shows where I could get 50K orders sometimes, those may happen. But I think I'm starting just instead of just dabbling with my local customers with gifts, I have several appointments set up all the next 2 weeks, just with not big companies, a roofing company, a redesign company, that want to do gifts, and just
Yep.
building that little by little is going to
Cool,
make a
man.
big difference.
I love how all of our programs can create and affect more programs, which is what we've seen the CGC opportunity do and turn into gifting in general.
Yeah.
You're kind of known for your ability, at least when I ask my team, for your ability to handle objections at the booth well.
Yeah.
And when we're at a show and it's not abnormal for a customer to say, "I'll think about it," or "I'll walk around a bit, I'll come back." And I was talking to Matt Foss. We had him on the podcast last week. And One thing we got into is, hey, how you handle objections looks different in every part of the country as well. In one part they might be overly nice and not willing to be direct, and in some parts of the country they're very, very direct.
Yeah.
So keep, if you're listening, take this with a grain of salt. But how do you navigate
Right.
that, Pat? What goes into that thought process for you when somebody?
So, let me just throw it out there. I think I've been really on point the last 6 months. I've been listening to non-Cutco training stuff on YouTube,
Mm,
free stuff.
a lot of great stuff out there.
Yeah, they're real. And here's where a couple of things is two things I've done specifically of course, you always want to avoid objections handled when they come up, but afterwards. Number one is digging more into pain points. I'm not afraid to ask the customers, how are your knives at home? And if they're okay. And I just might ask, well, I mean, do you want a new set of knives? Could you just sharpen yours up? I mean, what are we talking about? To sort of
Yeah.
make them justify to me why they would want to spend a lot of money on good knives.
Yep.
Because some customers are like, well, they're okay. And I was like, I'll show you these. I mean, do you want a new set of knives? So that's just sort of
You're
let you
getting
be an
that
upfront, like,
permission. You're
hey,
getting their permission and their
yeah,
idea. Yeah.
yeah, their permission and justifying to go back to, okay, well, you told me your knives were bad too. So it's like a push away sale. Because like I can sit here and pitch you this 2,000 set of knives. I can tell you all day why you want it. You tell me why would you want it. So I'm okay to not do it every time, but throw it out there too. And then secondly, here's the biggest thing that's made the hugest difference really is we've all learned the yellow pad closed when they're going to walk away, going to think about it. Sure, let me write it down. Scale of 1 to 10. What would you say your chance to come back? Jason Jeffrey taught that so well almost a decade ago. But there's an extra step in there that keeps us from being pitchy and argumentative. We write down on the yellow pad, okay, so you wanted this set, this color, you do the payments. Okay, and just, if you don't mind me asking, scale of 1 to 10, what are your chances of coming back, to buy your set? Oh, a 7 or an 8. Either, and I haven't figured out the best time, but before or after I ask that 1 to 10 question, I just say, okay, well, whenever you do come back, you may have a question or two, and there's some things to think about. So if you don't mind me asking, before I let you go, like, what's going through your head about this set? What are you thinking? Because that's when they open up to what the real objection is. Okay.
Mm.
At that point, you've written it down, you've given them your phone number on the yellow pad. Here, they think they're off the hook. The sales pitch is over. They can go and think about it. Pressure is off. So once you handed that paper, wait, before you go, I know you'll probably come back here. There's some things going through your head. What's going through your head about that set? Now they're defensive down. You're not the salesperson, and then they will open up. And that could be many different things. Is it price? Is it, I just don't know if you need that set. Is it, I did that thing with the cookware set. These people didn't even know Cutco. They were actually like the ideal cookware customer. They were, had been shopping for good cookware. And they did that whole process. And I just asked them, they're like, well, think about it. I mean, they loved it. Oh, we get the quality. And I said, well, before you go, just what's going through your head about this set? Okay. And what they told me was, well, we looked at, I don't know, maybe it was all clad or something. It's like, honestly, this is like $1,000 more than some of the cookware we were looking at. And they were looking at good quality cookware, not cheapo stuff. And so what I was able to do is, oh, okay, so you've shopped around for other stuff. That's more expensive. So what did I do? I spent just a minute or two to rebuild all the value points of Cutco. He had hinted at that griddle, right? And so I gave him a free griddle and they closed it. But here's the deal. If I hadn't taken that step to find out, oh, okay, it's just more expensive than other cookware. If I would have just jumped right into okay, scale of 1 to 10. What are you? You're a 7. Okay, boom. Well, if I could get you to a 9, would you consider it now? Okay, boom. Hey, I tell you what, you want cookware? I'll give you the griddle for free. All I would have been doing is vomiting deals at them without being sensitive and understanding what their true concern was. And I guarantee you, they would have said, well, okay, we'll think about it. Why? Because they were still thinking this is $1,000 more than this other set we're shopping for.
It reminds me of Seth Kinzer. He blew my mind. He said it's not the deal, it's how they feel about the deal. And you're asking those questions to find out, A, does it even make sense for me to offer this? But then also, what's the real issue? What you brought up, there are reps who won't go through that phase, and it's a fear of something. There's a fear there of something. Yeah. What is that for them?
It's a fear I think it's just a fear of hearing the honest, true objections. It's a fear that if I ask them, what are you really thinking about? then they're going to give me maybe a legitimate excuse. That whole, well, our refrigerator just broke. We got to spend $3,000.
Yeah.
Or, well, our car just broke down. And then secondly, too, I know a question I used to hear all the time that I never felt comfortable saying. Some do, but they say, if you don't mind me asking, what's holding you back from getting this right now? To me, that's way too, that's argumentative.
Mm.
That's argumentative. Where if you just take the second to ask that question, what's going through your head right now? That not what are you thinking? Not what are you thinking? What do you need to think about? No, you want this. What's going through your head? That's more that gets them to open up. Another question I would often ask too is we're going to walk around and think about it written on the sales pad, and if they tell me like a 5 or a 6 coming back, then I tell them straight up, hey, if you don't mind me asking, if your intro is a 5 or a 6, that's one of two things. Either you're just not, you don't want to spend that much money right now on Cutco, or this isn't the right package for you. So if you're to answer that honestly, like, what would you say the situation is for you? Sometimes, yeah, that's just way out of our budget. I've had people sometimes say, well, I just really don't want this, and that, or we wouldn't use the steak knives or whatever it is. Oh, okay. And then,
It's funny
well,
because we
can
think
I
they're
show you
going to
that
say things
option?
like that on their own, but
Mm,
they won't. And it's in our head, we're thinking, why didn't you just say that? Well, you got to be patient enough to ask the questions, create that trust, that bond where they feel comfortable
yeah.
being honest.
Yep.
People naturally
There's,
have I think a wall up with salespeople, and we gotta break that down. And
yeah.
it's for a reason because a lot of salespeople don't do what you're talking about. And they don't have their best intentions in mind, right?
Mhm. Yeah, exactly. Yep, it's breaking down the walls, and I think that's so key with that yellow pad that we've been taught for so long. Write it down, give it to them like they think you're done. They think you're done. Okay, cool, and then just pull them back in real quick for that question. They will, not all the time, but most times they will open up much more
Yeah.
about what their true objections are, and then I would say just reflect that. Like I had a lady looking at flatware the other day in a package with I thought I had a freaking homemaker or ultimate and flatware
Yeah.
because the husband was like, freaking get it. And the wife, after a while, she's like, I just don't like the flatware pattern that much. I'm not sure. And so what did I say? Well, don't get it. Like, if you
Yeah, because
don't
that's
like,
that's one we're
you
not
know,
gonna change that, right?
yeah, if you're not sure, and then I could have pitched, oh, I'll give you a better deal. I'll give you this for free. Wouldn't have mattered. Wouldn't have mattered. So so that would say slow down. Don't and Joseph Rodriguez preached this too. Is you can't come across as argumentative. You know that's why those questions. What's holding you back?
I love the way
Or
you phrase things because it really does create this. Oh, what is going on in my head? It's way
yeah.
less invasive. Let's talk malls a little bit because let's
Ah,
face it, you're like
yay.
you're one of the original mall guys, okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
And if someone does really well at traditional events, I feel like this is at least we've slowly and we had you on a call years ago to reshape our division's idea of what a mall should be, what it could be.
Mhm.
We've got a couple people on our team that they will do really well at traditional events, but consistently year after year struggle once we get to mall season. What what are immediate thoughts that you have on like what could be causing that for a
I
rep?
gotcha. Several things I'm going to say. First off, well, for very basic level, booth location in a mall.
Mm,
First and foremost, beyond sales skills, all that too. Look, what are the 3 rules of real estate? It's the exact same at your booth. Period. Okay. I mean, if you're not in the prime location, forget about it. Okay. We've moved. I was at a mall this year that moved like literally 40 feet, got behind something, got kind of stuck by an elevator, dead as Julius Caesar.
oh,
So if anyone's struggling, the number one thing I'll say is check out your booth location.
I love that answer because I think so many times the field hears, well, do you know your script? And they feel attacked where it's like, well, maybe you're setting yourself up for success there. So what's
It's
that
worth
look
it.
like when like, let's say let's do 2 different versions. You show up day one and the booth isn't where you thought it was going to be, which happens.
Happens.
What does that process look like first? And then we'll go into how do we set it up for success way before we even get there?
Well,
If you're still tracking and categorizing all your own expenses, I have a message from your CPA. Stop. If you're listening to this podcast, chances are your goals include growing your sales. And one way to do that is delegating admin responsibilities by trading time for money. Rising Stock and MyBooks.pro is exactly what you need. Rising Stock is an all-encompassing financial tracking and coaching program, where MyBooks.pro is exactly what it sounds like. They just do your books. You can choose to just have them track your expenses or take advantage of everything they have to offer. Do your business and your CPA a favor by scheduling a free intro call today at linktree/CSP60. That's linktr.ee/CSP60. That's linktree/CSP60 with a dot before the two E's.
Well, that's why, again, and again, I don't do a lot of those specific mall negotiations anymore. Dante Reynolds is a genius at it too. Recommend him too.
Dante
But
Reynolds,
that's what we've learned. What we've learned that is you can't just blow off that contract. Okay, it's like when you buy a house, double and triple check it, read through the detail, and never, ever, ever assume. Even if this is a mall, we got screwed in location, a mall we've been in since 2009, literally. Moved and didn't know about it. Okay. So you got to reaffirm 100% in writing, this is the spot. Okay. Because here's the deal. You get to the mall that day and you're not in that spot, you have a legal signed document that this is your location, period. So that's got to be, because we assume some things. Okay. Because if you have it on paper, of course, very tactfully, you can go to that mall manager, say,
it's not, we're not going in guns a-blazing, but it definitely, we have the leverage now.
But here's the deal. Your guns a-blazing is the contract. So just make sure it's there and be willing to pay more for a better location. Don't go cheap on location. Okay. That's the number one thing. Don't go cheap on location. So again, if you show up and the spot is wrong, if you haven't done your homework and pin that contract, then you're sorry. There's nothing to do at that point. So first is location with that too. Second, of course, past customer marketing, get them in there to sharpen the surface all day long. Turn it into a service event. You're going to generate a lot and stay busy. And you'll hear people say direct schedule. Anybody that walks by your booth needs to freaking, hey, you have Cutco, awesome. Hey, can we sign you up to bring your knives into the mall? Let's get you an appointment if you can. If don't wait to do service calls. Don't wait for a service in 2 months if possible. Try to get them in the next day to whenever. Direct schedule. Have your calendar. Have your Acuity or Calendly.
Have you ever had to talk a mall lease manager into, hey, trust me, we can do this. Let people bring knives into the mall. Is that no?
We've had service events specifically booked at malls specifically, and just
it's just more of an assumption of this is what we do.
It's okay. We don't have to. We've never had a problem. Never asked. Just because it's not like people are bringing in 100, 10 people a day. It's very. A couple of days a lot. So it's fine. They're not. No, just don't even mention it. It's okay.
Yeah,
it's okay.
I got you. So unless there's something specifically in a contract that somebody put in there of whatever, that's a non-issue.
It's a non-issue.
Products. Yeah.
They sell knives and freaking Dillards. They can open up that package. Who gives a crap? They sell baseball bats at Dick's Sporting Goods. Who gives a crap?
Yep.
Now here I learned. I think a good my mindset in malls got really shifted this year. Talking with Jeff Neighbors, who sold like $70,000, and he's older than me, right? Amazing guy, and a few other folks. And here's another mentality too that we've got to get over as a company. And I think because we dropped in sales last year, is you can't be too cool for school. And I thought I've been too cool for school to work a lot of mall days. Okay, because we know I've preached this for years. Malls are the least efficient shows we do. When you bring our CPO cost, the setup, you're there. I get it. It's not a freaking 4-day home and garden show where we've had teams sell $80,000.
But because of the time of the year that it's at and what our other options are, it's like, hey, what else are we going to do?
Yes. It's a challenge. And I'm not saying everyone needs to go and work 20, 30 days.
Yep.
Okay. But I feel like I thought I was too cool for school. And I used to work 10, 20 days. I've been down to 4 or 5. Now, a lot of that's personal family travel, but I need to step up, start dedicating more because I saw what Jeff Neighbors did, what Drew Manning is doing. Even, I think, Matt Tushin, I believe, in what they're doing at the malls. Now, again, a lot of our top CSPs, Deanna, Brandon Brown, Josh, Sean Henry, they don't work any malls. And I would say they don't need to, because if you look at your marketing on point so much, you can sell $100,000, $150,000 in December with a big holiday show and you're past going, do it. Hell yeah. I would rather not be at a mall either of those hours. But
Right.
my mentality, I think a lot of people's mentality was, I'm too cool for this. I got past customer marketing. I'm going to get a bunch of reorders. I don't need to be at the mall because I know that you're fighting tooth and nail to sell $1,000 in a day. Sometimes you have crappy days. Hours are longer than a horror's dream. Forget about it. Well, no, because look what Jeff Majors did and sold 70 grand. Look what Drew Manning just did. Look at Look at the one guy up in Wisconsin where they sold 140, out in California 180. Okay, yeah, the malls are long, but what if I, as a CSP, committed to dedicating 10 days at a mall to really do it right, to invite my customers to be there day in, day out? Okay, day in, day out. Okay, well, what if I sold an average of $1,000 a day or 1,500? Would I want an extra 10K to my December? Sure. When again, the mall's the paces, I have time at that mall to do my follow-up and my texts and my emails.
This is the first time I'm considering this, Pato. It's almost like as a CSP, we view it as like, hey, I'm going to the mall because there's going to be a bunch of traffic there, and there's nothing else that I could be doing with that time, so I'm going to do that. Where you're viewing it as no, like I'm still doing the market. I'm creating a service event at the mall as a convenience for my customers who might already be in that area anyway. All the extra traffic is bonus. I'm not betting on it at all. So I love that mentality. And also I love the fact that, if you have an off mall season versus just saying, all right, not doing that again, or, oh, so-and-so doesn't do it, so I guess I don't have to do it either. It's like, hey, review. What didn't you do? And if you did those things, could you see a better outcome? And I think that's a healthy approach to everything. Now, I will ask this. Is there ever a point, and there might not be, but is there ever a point where somebody should consider pulling the plug on a specific mall, or at least take a break from one specific as a team?
Oh yeah. I would say you got to try at least 2 years, but if in 2 years it's still lower than a lizard's liver, yeah, and if it's 2 or 3 years, you may try a different location. Yeah, we've pulled the plug on a few here around, and that's fine. But then at the same time, it's definitely good to take a break. If 2 or 3 years, if it's not growing, yeah, get out of there. Don't waste your time and money. But here's the number one, and then because and this sounds so generic, because the number one factor for the success of that mall is the person they're working at, and number one, their attitude. Number one, attitude. Secondly, skill set, because we've seen it time and time again, where someone truly is not what's the word I'm looking for? Focused in on their days at the mall, with a purpose, with an attitude. They're going to sell. Good days, good times, bad times. I've had my share. That's the number one factor. I've seen it over in my division, personal malls I've worked. A mall that did 80-something K one year went down to 39. A mall that did 80, I'm not joking. That's happened from 80 to 50.
And that's
true.
Step one.
And let me say something on that too. The people that worked those malls the year it dropped have openly admitted and said, I wasn't there 100%. I wasn't there 100%. Okay.
I think that step, if you question coordinators, is this mall worth pulling the plug? Maybe find, hey, is there someone new that we can try one more time and see if it impacts results at all? And sometimes it's not because that person, I know for us, as my district managers, I have DMs that would succeed in one area of Indiana that would really struggle in another because they're not from that area and they don't vibe or mesh with that group. Whereas it might be, hey, it might not be somebody not doing their job well. It might just not be a great fit. Okay, that's super helpful. What are some common mistakes you feel like coordinators and teams make that can ruin a mall's success that is on us?
Okay. Yeah. I'll tell you what that is. Number one, stretching your people too thin. If you're stressing out about booking all the days, dumping in people, or oh crap, don't stress yourself over not having days filled. Okay. I would say that's the number one thing. Don't stretch yourself too thin. Now, on the flip side of that, fortunately, malls are different than they were 15 years ago. A lot of malls, if you can't staff every day, they don't care. Okay.
Yeah. As long as somebody's there paying for
they're happy.
Yeah.
They're happy. So don't spread yourself too thin. And then when we talk about, you've got to have, so that's one thing. Another mistake is you want to have a true, what I call a mall hero, who's going to dedicate 10, 15, maybe the whole 30 days to be their majority and make it their own. Dante Reynolds says you built your mall as your fort. You dedicate 2 or 3 years, plant your flag, your past customer back, and it makes great too. If you get too much of, and this is even with CSPs, a couple people here this day, then that day, and that day, and you don't have anyone working consistently day in, day out, at least one person consistent,
You're saying
that
for
really,
each
really hurts
mall,
it.
it's not conquer with the whole team. Each mall has to have one person where it's like their ownership over that mall for that season, is it?
Yeah. The only exception is Leah Eliopolis's, where they have 3 malls in their division. It's, what are they, Southland, not a huge traffic area. And they do rotate their CSPs around, so they have to work each mall. But they're there like a week. I mean, I'm not sure. Maybe it's a week at this mall, a week at that mall, a week at that mall. So it's not just, a day here, a day here, a day there. Okay. They have very dedicated time. So that you get a rhythm, you see those people over and over again. And that's what you got to have too. So
Man,
if at all possible, don't just when you're picking shifts, first find the people who are like, I'm enthusiastic, I'm gonna jump in there to make it freaking happen no matter what.
So calling all mall heroes. Not all heroes wear capes. We need you.
Yes.
One thing that just dawned on me, it feels like if I'm a CSP and I could spend a couple of years building up my customer base at a mall, the ROR potential there in the future should be massive because it's in the same spot, same mall, same people going to the mall every single year. Whereas like a service event, yes, and it might be at a different hotel, a different spot. The time might not run. We're talking about 30 days in the same spot. The ROR potential there, I feel like, should be massive, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I used to do 2 weeks out in Lubbock, Texas, which is 6 hours away from here. Still in our division, still way within Texas, by the way. 6 hours is not that far. But yeah, I've been there since 2012. I only go there now for a weekend in December for basically service, people bringing their knives plus catch up too. And yeah, I have 500 or 600 customers there, and it's fantastic. So you're 100% correct that ROR potential is there. But that again, now I built that because I used to work at least 10 days there every year for 8 years. So it took some time. But now I want to do that again in a local mall in Austin now. I'm like, okay, I can't do 30 days. I can't do 20. Okay. My life is a little bit different. Kids while teaching, but could I do 10? Of actual being there and inviting my customers and getting a handful there. 10 days. And then, like I said, for what I need to do, I can sell, if I sold 20K, great. That's 20K I wouldn't have sold. Or maybe it's only freaking 10, maybe it's 30. But here's another thing good about malls. Our price of malls has not increased at all in 20 years or whatever, 13 years I've been doing this. The hours are getting easier and easier. Used to, those hours were longer than a horror's dream, 9 to 9, 9 to 10 all the time. After COVID, there's a lot of reasons for this. Malls are open 11 to 8, 10 to 8. They're not there. And I hate to say it, but man, you look around and an hour before closing, you got stores shutting down, you got kiosks shutting down. The hours are way simpler. They're not as strict. And that's because they're just,
the leverage is in the vendors because the mall's not driving people to their locations as much as it was before.
So I'd say those crazy hours now, it varies in that week before Christmas, maybe, but those 12-hour days, even 10-hour, 13-hour days, they're not there anymore with rare exceptions.
Or if you don't want them to be there, you don't have to. There's not many situations where like you have to do X, Y, or Z. Any best practices for offering service at the mall during mall season, or just don't overthink
just like
it?
You
it's
always
a service
do.
event.
Yeah, just sit up to anything. Send text and emails to our customers in the radius. Sign them up for an appointment. Anybody that walks by the booth, sign them up for an appointment. The best practice is the main thing you said. Service event is sign people up for an appointment. Don't tell all your customers, hey, I'm going to be at the mall these 5 days, these 10 days. Bring your knives in when you can. No, just like a dentist appointment.
Yes.
Here's and then you can schedule that out. You may not want to do a lot of service, Saturday between noon
and what's great about that is you got so many hours where like at a service event, if you got 15 slots and 5 people don't show up, it's like, oh, dang it. At the mall, it's like, dude, I was going to be here anyway, and I got so many slots.
Yeah, exactly. So just make sure that it's scheduled specifically and do your, a couple emails, do phone time to get them there. If you have a couple hours in the morning, call our, hey, I do that for all my service events mostly. Is I fill my slots with phone calls. Josh Mueller fills time slots with phone calls, not just, there's a text and email. I hope people show up. No.
I know you said you don't do the negotiation process much at all.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out Dante, by the way, friend of the show. Love Dante. Do you remember, or can you vicariously through Dante, what are tips for coordinators looking to improve their negotiation game with malls?
hmm So I think first and foremost is in that negotiating game is going with an attitude that we'd love to be here, but we don't have to.
Hmm.
And very tactfully, find out what other kiosk folks are paying. You'll be surprised that it's not all the same it's different everywhere. Okay. So, don't be very tactful about it when you ask other vendors and stuff. And, you don't want to reveal, oh, we're getting this deal, but very tactfully. And then that gives you some leverage. And whenever you talk to that mall manager, you don't have to call up people specifically. Hey, listen, we know that there's some places close to us that are paying this much less than us. I know we're only here for a shorter time, but here's the deal. And it's explained, we pay out of our own pocket. As always, a lot of college kids, we pay out of our own pocket. We pay out of our own pocket. We pay our pocket here. We're not guaranteed an hourly wage. There's a huge risk. So that's why we need you to work with us too. That's another one. That's true too. And then no, I don't want to tell that. That's for I'm going to say that on something that's not recorded. It's very key that Dante Reynolds taught me this year. I think you just have to stick to start early. The earlier the better, obviously, so you're not stuck in November.
What is early? Is early the day after last year's mall season? What is?
Yeah. Now, yeah.
Yeah.
If you know you're going to staff it and be there, start now.
Awesome.
A lot of them will tell you, "Oh, we can't because that's December." Okay, well, great. Start the conversation now.
Yeah. I do have a really important topic that's been.
Okay.
I can't get off this episode without asking.
Working with Trent Booth and the Veritas Leadership Group over the last decade has unlocked things within me that I never knew existed until they were coached out of me. If you're listening and you feel stuck or like you have another gear that you're having a hard time getting to, Trent's offering a free intro call to any of our listeners. I love Veritas because it's an amazing combo of mentoring and coaching. I get what I need when I need it most. It's also a flat monthly rate, which is awesome for anyone looking to give it a shot with no contract and no long-term commitment. Schedule a call with Trent today by going to linktree/CSP60. That's linktr.ee/CSP60. That's linktree/CSP60 with a dot before the two E's.
How many times have you seen Kiss live? The people want to know.
15.
15 times. Favorite
I've seen Kiss in concert 15 times.
Uh-huh.
So that's from 2000 to last year, 2024. In Detroit, St. Louis, Houston, Dallas, San Antonio, Austin. So those cities. Then I've seen Ace Frehley, their lead guitarist, solo 3 times.
So this is separate. So now we're at 18, including his.
Yep.
Do you have a favorite?
And then I've seen 3 or 4 Kiss tribute bands.
Oh, love it. I have a Kiss tribute band story for you. My sales manager, winter break, we were doing the Midwest J Pro, and we had this guy Wilbur Mullet that was on our team, and Wilbur, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna butcher this. I do not mean this. I do not mean to get this wrong. He's a small person, okay, and Wilbur, first demo sells a homemaker. He's Amish. So we got a couple things going. He's an Amish small person and lives in Middlebury, Indiana, I believe. Shout out my Amish community or Mennonites, listen to the podcast. And Wilbur sold 30 grand his first month and a half. I mean, just crushed it. And we get to know Wilbur, and he shares with my buddy, Tom, who's an assistant manager, that he is in a little band that travels around, and they went to Europe. And we're like, dude, what's the name of the band? Mini Kiss.
Mini Kiss.
They were in a Pepsi commercial.
Yeah, very familiar. They're playing in San Antonio soon.
Wilbur Mullet, former Cutco rep, is in Mini Kiss.
Can you put me in contact with this guy somehow?
I could find it. It's probably in my Vector Connect. I mean, this guy, cool.
How long ago was this again?
2000 and the December of 2006, January 2007.
Long time ago. But yeah, I'm very familiar with Mini. If I can meet that guy, oh my gosh.
Oh man, so good. Now a follow-up to my first question, and this one comes from Josh Mueller. How many times have you dressed up as one of the members of Kiss?
Well, there's only one concert I went to.
For those of you listening and not watching, by the way, the eyes just lit up. I mean, just lit up. Yeah.
Well, I had one concert I did not paint my face for. or dress up
You
as
painted
kids.
your face 14 times.
Well, actually 13, because when we saw him in Dallas in 2011, I went as the 1980s Paul Stanley, when they didn't have makeup, but they were
Yep.
all 80'd up. So that's just, but gosh, on top of that, a couple of intramural softball games I did in college, Halloween, like almost everyone. Um,
This is your annual Halloween costume.
it's for the most part, not everyone, but we've done different things with the kids and stuff. So, I mean, and then that I was in a commercial one time
No way.
for a costume shop in Abilene.
A local spot?
So
Oh, that's great.
I'm gonna say at least 60.
I saw Kiss once. Jeff Bry, region manager, shout out Jeff, took our DVM team to the House of Blues in Vegas. 3,000 person venue
Yeah.
and saw Kiss, and it was so cool, man. So cool. It was awesome. Okay, so you're part of Lone Star. Been a part of Lone Star your whole career, correct? Division?
Since that state, probably the only CSP that still works for the original manager that hired him, Stacey Campbell, 2001.
So you've been a part of a pretty spectacular crew for a long time. You've seen that organization. You've seen Stacey in infancy phases of DVM all the way through. Gosh, I mean, perennial all-star, titan in the business. Amazing. I mean, what are the biggest, like, some life and business lessons you've learned working in that organization with all those great people that are a part of it?
Wow. Well, I've never been, in all these, I've never been asked that too. God, life lessons and business lessons.
While you're
I would say,
too, shout out Josh Mueller was like, this is his question that he really wanted for you to be able to answer.
I mean, here's the deal. You got to treat people like people and not just CPO numbers. I mean, the number one reason I've stuck around Cutco for so long is the people. And Stacey Campbell's the best manager in the business, DVM.
No offense taken, by the way. No offense.
No, I mean, like, good people that truly care about their people. So I think that's the lesson is, I get so mad when these high-tech companies, or even what's going on in the federal government right now. Sometimes people have to lose their jobs. I get it.
Yep.
But you're going to tell somebody just because they're locked out of their email tomorrow morning? People have families and kids. And Cutco would never treat anybody that way. Stacey Campbell, Josh Mueller, nobody's perfect. So knowing that the people I work with have a true interest in how I'm doing, how my family's doing, that's one of the number one things that keeps me around.
Love it.
I think so. So individually, there's your family, your kids have to be your top priority. Now, I miss things and travel and can't be there for everything. That's true. So knowing that there's not just the pressure to produce CPO numbers, but there's concern there too. I think business-wise is, your thrilled customers become your raving fans. And, Rulin talked about this, and Josh a lot too, is service, go above and beyond when there's a mistake or something's messed up. Because when I've talked to a lot of people in other sales jobs, and I've been approached for other sales jobs, look for other sales jobs, people leave our company. The one thing that I hear over and over again from anyone who has sold anything, beyond Cutco and left, whether they came back or not, is you never get that experience, that excited, joyful experience with your customers. At the booth, when people come by, oh, we've had it for 30 years, 40 years. Oh, Patton's the best. Oh, Josh sharpens our knives for us. Oh, you got to buy it. Nobody does that with their SaaS software. Nobody does that with their Windows. Nobody does that with their construction equipment. So the fact that we have so many raving fan customers that come up to the booth and they hug you and you show them pictures of your kids, that experience is unmatchable. That's
hard to put
unmatchable.
a quantitative value on that, right?
You can't.
Yeah.
No, you can't.
And I don't think we need to. Like, that's special, man.
It is.
There's a fulfillment with what you're doing attached to that.
Yeah. And I think, I'm sure the vast majority of CFPs have thought about doing something different, been approached about doing it, recruited. And I think a lot of us, and this is probably the right mentality, but I thought, gosh, what am I going to tell all my customers? What am I going to do with all my happy customers in Abilene that I've known for a decade? Now, they'll be fine. Their life isn't going to be, they won't be heartbroken because I'm leaving the company. But, but just the fact that the first thing I think about is, What about all those people I've seen for 10 years and I've sharpened the knives 3 or 4 times and they get a good deal? They'll get passed off to another CSP or whatever, but like that's my first thought is like, what are my customers going to do?
It's a taboo conversation that many in the company are afraid to have. I'm not. I think it's a healthy conversation to have with yourself on a regular basis to say, hey, why am I still here? What is it about for me now? Is the 2025 version of my purpose here the same as last year? Do I need to adjust? Like, it's really healthy to have that honest conversation with yourself. And it's not a bad thing. I mean, gosh, I'm so honored that people try to recruit our people. Like if they weren't, that would be a really bad sign. And I don't take it personal. If somebody does choose to leave at some point, it's like, awesome. Two things, either one, that was God's will for their life, or two, I could have done a better job as a leader and I wasn't providing the way I could have. So I think there's always a way to turn it internally. And I think it's a really healthy conversation to have with ourselves and with anybody that leads us. I know that's a loaded question that could have a million other. It's anything else pop off in your head in terms of working with Stacy, working with Lone Star, working with all those great people?
I can always say this. The fact that Bruce Goodman knows my wife's name, he saw her this year, but hadn't seen her in 5 years, and just, oh my gosh, Rashandra, good to see you again.
For us, by the way, it's like, oh yeah, that's life, that's normal. You talk to any, that's not normal.
The fact that the first time I ever worked a show with Tom Rastrelli, this is 2010.
Dude,
okay,
he was my first cross training.
He was in charge of the events then, and he's leaving the show. Hey, Patton, great to work with you. Give me a hug. Love you, buddy. And I'm just like, I was just starting events. This is Tom Rastrelli, who is one of the main reasons we're up here doing events,
Dude, like my second or third shift I ever worked, he was cross training in India at the Indiana State.
Yeah. That makes sense.
And we went to Don Pablo's, I believe, or maybe Logan Steakhouse, Lone Star, something like that. And just, we've got, Tom's a pretty special one. So I won't want to say we got tons of Tom Rastrellis because we don't, but we got tons of people who aspire to be like Tom in our business that are wrapping their arms around us. And that's pretty invaluable in my opinion. Pato, what's something that I should have asked you today that could have helped our team?
Should have asked me today. Well, you didn't ask me any questions about roller coasters.
Oh, dude, I got it saved for I was gonna.
Okay. Yeah. No, I'm really good. You asked me about the things get my pee hot, which is you asked me about malls, but then I think handling objections. I'm glad you asked that because I feel like over the last 6 months, I've really gotten
sounds like you're way better on that. It sounds like
even though I've sold Cutco for so long, I'm so less afraid ever of objections than I've ever been. So I think those two, really those things, because I feel like one of the things that I do best. I mean, you could have someone else teach you how to do cookware better. Like I said, how to do the family program better. That's too. I think I'm really good at ultimate upgrades. If you want me to talk about, I know what kind of deadline we're on with the time, but that's the one thing I say because that's kind of my bread and butter.
Ultimate upgrades is your thing. Tell me ultimate upgrades.
So Jason Jeffrey taught this approach in Luke Mills. 10 years ago. I think the main things on the ultimate upgrade that I do a good job of, whereas I sell so many, is of course just always asking permission and just, hey, just for grins, can I show you how this works real quick? Okay. Hey, just for grins.
By the way, I love that phrasing.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah. Just for grins, show this works real quick and go through and keying in. Again, there's a lot of approaches you can listen to, but keying in on how they're all customer requested pieces, why they would like them. It's a compliment, for it to really focusing, real quick on the good names and uses and using that want phraseology a lot. Okay. That want phraseology a lot too. And then when you get to the package, again, explaining when you get to the cost, there's a couple ways to show the cost of it. But when I show the cost, what is it now? I don't even know. I'd have to look because it just changed. Say it's $2,400. I do always say, I'm going to buy your wooden block back for you. You don't have to, but I like to just like trading in a car and that way I can take $150 off the cost there.
Well, you're just handling that objection before it comes up of what am I going to do with my block?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly too. And I think the big thing too, and this is what Jason taught me, was with again, now when it breaks down to the five, maybe it's 450 ish a month on the 5 pay. Again, I'm brand new prices here. And explaining, hey, now all of our knives, they're like 150 ish bucks a piece. So for 450 bucks, instead of just getting, hold on, instead of just getting 3 or 4 knives, this is the cost of 3 or 4 knives ish. Standing few pieces, what you get is, and then that's when you stack. That's when you get the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, the 9 new pieces that you have, plus the scissors, plus 4 more of the big steak knives. Some people do all 12, and I have to. The big steak knives, plus you get the cutting boards come with it, and the sharpener with all that too. And we put a name on the block and engrave your knives on it too, engrave your name on it, which is great.
I love that because I feel
and
like
then what we're doing here, you pick out 2. If you've already presented it, we're doing a little extra bonus. You pick out 2 free kitchen gadgets, have it all laid out on the table. Oh, I do mention that the blocks are like 500 bucks a piece. So for way less than the cost of a block, this is why nobody really buys the blocks individually. I mean, you can, but they never go on sale.
I
They're
feel
never
like
discounted,
as a
all that
student
too.
rep, we're taught so much of
Yep.
value, 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 value,
Yeah.
value. Okay, here's the price.
Yeah.
Whereas it's like, hey, here's the price. Oh, by the way, let me stack all of
Yes.
these. I love that.
Yeah. So sucker, and then my closing phrase, really, all I say is, so honestly, like the upgrades grades, like for people, if like you'd use at least all these knives, you like them, you wanted to add on to your set, you want a place to store everything in, so there's no orphans here, and everybody has a block. Kind of fill out yourself and be done. It's one of those things. If you like it, and if you can spend 450 bucks over a month, over 5 months, I mean, then it just makes sense. And then I just sit there and see how they react. And the beauty is if they say, well, if they say, what comes in it? Like, then it's like, okay, you're done. You got it sold. And if they're like, oh no, and then the drop down is so easy because they say, oh, we're not interested. The drop down to the builder upgrade where you pick 5 is so easy because I tell, oh, no problem. I just like to show that to you so you have an opportunity to do everything, all of our knives that we make, see it too. So yeah, if you don't, but let me, what a lot of people do, just if you were to pick out the 5 knives you really want, the 5 top priorities, which 5 would you pick out? And I like what Luke Mills says, minimize it to 5. So 5 doesn't seem like too many. Minimize it to the 5 knives you'd really like. What 5 would you pick out?
Do you ever have somebody do that, see the price, and then they go back up and they're like, you know what? We'll just
sometimes, definitely. And then get them on the builder. There's, the builder upgrade with that too, which I don't know the price of that. And then
builder upgrade, take your notes in your CRM, be on top of what they got. Love it. All right, here's my amusement park question.
Okay.
Best bang for your buck amusement park in the United States is blank.
Well, actually, they're probably in your state. Indiana Beach and Holiday World.
Oh, love it, dude. Holiday World, Santa Claus, Indiana, shout out.
Free drinks, free sunscreen.
Dude, and I know the free sunscreen sounds weird to everybody listening. It sounds weird until you need it, okay? Yeah. It sounds weird until you need it.
Those two, Indiana Beach, maybe not as much. I haven't been there in a long time, but they have some good rides. But, I mean, Holiday World and Santa Claus. But and then here's what's interesting now. Online tickets, here's a little tip. For Six Flags parks, at least Fiesta, Texas, San Antonio, they're less than $50 a piece online.
Oh, wow.
That is lower than a lizard's liver.
They're almost saying, hey, we don't care about the ticket. We just want you to come.
They'll get you for $30 parking, trust me. But but do that. Pack you a lunch in a cooler in your car so you don't buy a lot of food there. So I know that's Fiesta, Texas. I don't know about other places, but that's now Six Flags Parks.
What I love about this is we just had Brian Carter on 2 weeks ago, and we talked about them pulling the trigger on a all-family Disney situation. And these are 2 very different conversations. This is the long-term, I'm committed to amusement parks being a big part of my life for a long time. Brian's is we're going to do this one time and we're going to do it right. And then we're never going to do it again. We are in such a unique situation, Pato, where no one is required to give back in our company, but most of our leaders do. We have a lot of non-Cutco salespeople that listen, and in most sales companies, it's just not the case. It'd be, hey, cool, I'll come on. What are you paying me? I remember being this rinky-dink little events team, just trying to get things moving in the right direction. And you answered our invitation to speak on a call years ago with big old open arms. You showed up massive for us. You covered great stuff, made us laugh a ton with your little Texas quips and whatnot. But what I remember most
was our team leaving that call and believing in the events team opportunity more than they ever had. And we, within a few years of that, we doubled sales back-to-back years.
Wow.
And that was a big season for us that you were a part of. So just thanks so much for being reliable, dependable, and an awesome member of our CSP community, Pato. We love you, man.
Thanks for being a great DVM and believing in the mall program still. And
yeah,
thanks for asking me questions about KISS from Josh Mueller. So.
I gotta get. I need to find. Well, I'm gonna see if I can connect you with Wilbur. I'm gonna do everything I can.
Oh, dude, yeah, I'll even text you to remind you that guy because
Please.
I'm very familiar with the man.
If you enjoyed today, gang, be sure to subscribe. Turn on those notifications from your favorite platform so you don't miss the 15 minutes of flames version of this episode or our next 60 minutes of fire. We've got upcoming hot hands interviews with Anastasia Esquivel. We got Marissa Mayer.
Ooh, Marissa's cool.
Coming up. We got some goodies on the other side. It's gonna be a lot of fun. We will see you next time. Thanks for listening, and for some of you watching, I want to remind you that all resources from today can be found at linktree/CSP60. That's linktr.ee/CSP60. That's linktree/CSP60 with a dot before the EE. If you want to be a member of our live Zoom audience for one of our upcoming shows, email bwiggins@vectormarketing.com. That's BWIGGINS@vectormarketing.com. If you loved what you heard today, I'd be honored if you followed, subscribed, or even rated us on whatever platform you use to find your 60 minutes of fire. We'll see you next time.